get started, and I'm really excited about the hearing. Good morning, everyone. I'm Councilmember Shahana Hanif, and I'm proud to reintroduce Intro 213, which would prohibit businesses and other places of public accommodation from using facial recognition and other forms of biometric surveillance to identify or track customers. My colleague, Pirina Sanchez, who's not here yet, is also reintroducing Intro 428 that would do the same in residential buildings. As a Muslim New Yorker who grew up in the post 9/11 era, I'm all too familiar with what happens when fear is used to justify excessive and biased surveillance. It disproportionately harms Black, brown, immigrant, and Muslim communities, and it erodes our civil rights. This measure is critical to combating wrongful discrimination. Facial recognition tools have consistently been shown to have significantly higher error rates for people of color and women. This has resulted in people in these populations being falsely accused of wrongdoing and denied access to public spaces. This is also a matter of basic privacy. New Yorkers should be able to buy groceries, attend events, and go about their daily lives without having their most sensitive biometric information, that's the shape of their face, their gait, their voice, collected, stored, or sold. I'm appalled but not surprised by the Federal Trade Commission's finding that Rite Aid used facial recognition technology to falsely and disproportionately identify thousands of people of color and women as likely shoplifters in its stores, including those in New York City. And earlier this year, we learned that Wegmans rolled out biometric surveillance in their stores. While Rite Aid is now prohibited from using biometric surveillance for the next 5 years, we shouldn't need a federal investigation and lawsuit to prohibit other businesses from replicating this practice and victimizing more New Yorkers. We must ban the scan now. I now like to call up our friends from the Stop the Ban Coalition. Michelle Dahl.
Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Michelle Dahl. I'm the Executive Director of the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, or STOP. I want to start with a story. A couple years ago, one of STOP's interns was racing home from the raid. Upon reaching her building in the Bronx, she did what the facial recognition entrance system demanded, positioning her face in front of the facial recognition screen. It failed, again and again. It wasn't the first time either. As a Black woman, the system regularly took longer to recognize her than for lighter-skinned individuals. She described standing outside alone at night, barred from her own home, feeling newly aware of how dangerous and dehumanizing this technology can be. That's what biometric surveillance looks like in real life. It's not futuristic, it's not hypothetical. It's your face turned into data that you don't control, subject to bias, errors, and even hacking. The timing for ending biometric surveillance is urgent. Federal officials have been explicit about leveraging local policing tools, data, and resources. In this context, facial recognition becomes a liability to residents across the city. It can be readily repurposed to target at-risk communities such as immigrants today, and tomorrow, every New Yorker whom the federal government may target. The best way to prevent New York City's surveillance system from being co-opted for federal overreach is to dismantle it before it is weaponized. Today, City Council has a chance to protect New Yorkers by banning the scan. New Yorkers should not be forced to accept biometric surveillance to enter their homes, buy groceries, attend a concert, or otherwise just live their lives. The Council is considering two bills. First, Intro 428, the residential buildings bill. It would make it unlawful for an owner of a multiple dwelling building to install, activate, or use biometric technology that identifies tenants or their guests. Landlords use these tools to invasively track tenants and their guests and target them for eviction on minor infractions. Your home should not come with a face scan. Second, Intro 213, the public accommodations bill. It targets the vast spread of biometric recognition into stores, entertainment venues, and other public spaces, prohibiting them from using biometric surveillance to identify or verify customers. You should not have to trade your biometric identity away just to buy food or take your kid to a game. Let's be clear about why this is a problem. Facial recognition is biased and broken. Federal testing has shown that false positive errors can vary dramatically across demographic groups. When the stakes are access to housing, or suspicion in a store, or an encounter with law enforcement, that error rate becomes a civil rights issue. We've seen how this technology can be weaponized, used to decide who is welcome, who is suspicious, or who gets excluded from public life, often with no transparency and no meaningful accountability. So STOP is here with a simple message. Pass Intro 428, pass Intro 213. These bills are a strong start, but don't stop there. Because as long as government agencies, and especially police, can use biometric surveillance, New Yorkers will still be tracked, identified, and chilled from exercising basic rights. Going to a protest, visiting a place of worship, seeking medical care, meeting with a lawyer, or simply walking down the street without being cataloged. Biometric surveillance is biased, error-prone, and harmful to our communities. It has no place in residential buildings or places of public accommodation, or anywhere else in the city. We urge City Council to not only pass these two bills, but to move quickly and decisively toward a full ban on biometric surveillance by police and government in New York City. No one should be locked out of their home by an algorithm. No one's face should be cataloged to buy groceries. And no government should build a biometric dragnet over the people it serves. To City Council, ban the scan. Pass these bills and commit to a full ban on biometric surveillance by police and government. Thank you.
Thank you. I know how invasive it is when our credit card information gets stolen. And with a credit card, I can cancel the card, get a new one. With our face, we can't get a new face, we can't get a new voice. So this is coming at an urgent time, particularly when we're seeing federal overreach all across the country, but in New York City specifically, as protesting is curtailed. We want to make sure that our basic protections from shopping in a grocery to protesting in the streets are equally protected. I want to now invite Councilmember Alexa Aguilez to say a few words.
Thank you, Councilmember. Good morning. I am here as a proud co-sponsor of both of these introductions, and I hope sincerely that our council will hear these bills, pass these bills, and as you have urged, a full ban on the scan. We know that these algorithms are wrong, they are biased. This is your most intimate personal data. And why should companies not only sell that data, but should our government peddle in our most intimate data? It's just simply wrong. And so I'm proud to stand here and say, no, we must ban the scan. We must pass these two bills. This is very serious. And for those who don't think that this impacts you, you don't know where your information is going on the internet. There are people who are peddling in your most intimate data. The more you allow this data to be commodified and used by entities, the more vulnerable we are as individuals. And this is one sure way that we can make sure to protect our data and to do what we know is right, because these algorithms simply are wrong and they lead to bias and criminalization and to impacts that are quite profound for people. So I'm proud to support these two intros, and let's get it done. And thank you so much, Councilmember Hanif, for your incredible leadership.
Thank you, Councilmember Alexa Aguilez. This bill and the residential buildings bill has been heard year after year, and we really want to make sure that we show the urgency today at the hearing as to why we must pass both bills now. I want to now invite Meda Rahman from the New York Civil Liberties Union.
Thank you, Councilmember. From grocery stores and concert venues to the streets in our own homes, we are constantly being tracked and surveilled. Biometric surveillance, such as face, voice, and gait recognition, presents an unprecedented threat to New Yorkers' privacy and civil liberties. It enables invasive tracking of our identities, movements, and associations. Biometric surveillance systems, whether used by law enforcement agencies, landlords, or places of public accommodation make countless New Yorkers, particularly people of color, less safe. These technologies are notoriously inaccurate and racially biased. Numerous studies have shown that facial recognition technologies are particularly inaccurate when it comes to women and people of color. Grocery stores like Wegmans and Whole Foods should not be able to collect your biometric information, monitor you, and potentially share your sensitive information with other stores or law enforcement without your knowledge or consent. And your landlord, who controls your most basic housing needs, does not need the ability to track your and your guests' every coming and going. Now, as the federal government targets our immigrant neighbors, kidnapping them off our streets, from schools and jobs, stronger privacy protections are all the more pressing. We should not be doing ICE's job for them by collecting and storing highly personal information that can be easily exploited to target our immigrant neighbors. All New Yorkers deserve to freely access public accommodations and to exist in their own homes without being forced to turn over their biometric information. Passing intros 2 and 3. Thank you. All New Yorkers deserve to freely access public accommodations and to exist in their own homes without being forced to turn over their most sensitive biometric information. Passing intros 2 and 3 and 4 to 8 are critical first steps to protect New Yorkers' civil liberties. However, the Council must go further by also prohibiting biometric surveillance technology in other areas where critical rights are at stake, most critically, law enforcement and government use. Thank you.
I want to emphasize what Meda raised around immigration and ICE. We can't be a sanctuary city and also have biometric technology as the backdoor intelligence tool that is overreaching in our neighborhoods. I want to now invite Nina Loshkajian, Center on Race, Inequality, and the Law at NYU Law.
Thank you so much. We are here today for a simple reason. Enough is enough. New Yorkers are sick of being guinea pigs for intrusive and discriminatory surveillance technology. We are incredibly grateful to Councilmember Hanif, Councilmember Aviles for being here. As Councilmember Hanif acknowledged, these bills have been being heard for years, and throughout those years, New Yorkers have suffered the consequences of this technology being used on them without oversight, without accountability, and without guardrails. And for that reason, the Center on Race, Inequality, and the Law strongly urges the passage of intros 213 and 428. Facial recognition systems have repeatedly misidentified Black and brown people at significantly higher rates, yet are deployed in everyday spaces throughout our city. To allow this technology to operate in essential businesses and residential buildings invites discrimination at scale. Policymakers have a responsibility to prevent tools with known racial bias from causing harm. As everyone here has reiterated time and time again, this technology has bias baked in. Because the systems are trained on data sets in which faces of color are underrepresented, those faces are more likely to be misidentified, subjecting Black and brown New Yorkers to wrongful consequences. And research has reiterated this time and time again. The vast majority of known wrongful arrests due to facial recognition mismatches have been of Black men and women. This is why the two bills on the agenda today are so urgently needed. New Yorkers deserve the ability to partake in everyday life, from trips to the grocery stores to nights out at concerts, without being subjected to intrusive surveillance. Yet grocery stores right now across this city are subjecting customers to biometric recognition as a condition of entry. As a sanctuary city, we cannot allow for the possibility that Wegmans or other retailers could be collaborating with federal immigration agents. Intro 428 is also a much needed protection. Our homes should be where we enjoy the fullest freedom of movement and the highest levels of privacy, not testing grounds for biometric surveillance technologies. And we've already seen how landlords will weaponize this tech in incredibly cruel ways. In Massachusetts, this led to the eviction of a single mother from public housing when the technology flagged her for violating a guest policy. That violation, her ex-husband was repeatedly coming over only to watch their child while she attended night classes. This is incredibly harmful, and we have enough evidence to know that these two bills are much needed protections for our city. As others have said, we also should go further by passing a ban on police use of facial recognition technology. So we urge the council members to honor the commitment of New York being a sanctuary city, to protect New Yorkers of color from harm, and to ban the scan. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. So at the hearing, in just a few, we will be joined by the Department of Consumer Worker Protection, Housing Preservation and Development, and the Office of Technology and Innovation. And we're going to bring them to task to better understand how exactly is surveillance technology, particularly biometric and facial recognition technology, being monitored or being regulated. There was a bill that passed some time ago that mandates that groceries, supermarkets that are using this kind of technology post that they are using that technology. We're curious to know, is that being enforced? And is there any data that is being put forth from these supermarkets or businesses to ensure the privacy of customers? So there's a lot that we're excited to find out about, and again want to stress just how important it is to pass these two bills. I want to now invite Laura Mora from the Legal Aid Society.
Morning. Facial recognition technology causes real harm to real people. Because of the racial biases baked into this technology, people with darker skin are more likely to be wrongfully flagged as shoplifters and surveilled throughout stores, more likely to be locked out of their own apartments because their building's facial recognition system can't recognize them, and more likely to be wrongfully arrested for crimes they had nothing to do with. That's what happened to Travis Williams, who was arrested last year and spent more than 2 days in jail for a crime that he didn't and couldn't have committed. A woman had reported that she had been flashed in a building in Manhattan. The incident was caught on surveillance footage. The NYPD used that footage to take a still shot and run it through their facial recognition technology, which flagged Mr. Williams as a potential match. Like the person the NYPD was looking for, Mr. Williams was a black man with braids. But that's about where the similarities ended. He was about 8 inches taller and 70 pounds heavier. And during the time of the incident, he had been working in Connecticut, where he had a job working with autistic adults. Nevertheless, Mr. Williams was arrested and suffered the personal and professional consequences that come along with that. One of the many problems with facial recognition technology is that people treat it like it's more reliable than it is. Seeing that an algorithm has flagged someone as a potential match, police are more likely to forego traditional investigative work and assume that the machine must have gotten it right. But Mr. Williams' case is one of many where the machine got it wrong. And when that happens, the consequences are catastrophic. We call on the city to put an end to the use of this biometric surveillance technology by the government, by law enforcement, by landlords, by places of public accommodation. We thank Council Members Hanif and Sanchez for sponsoring the bills. We thank Councilmember Aviles for being here this morning. And we call on the city to do what is long past time to do and protect New Yorkers from this intrusive technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for bringing up the case about Mr. Williams. The consequences are tragic, and also financially. I know that Mr. Williams suffered from socially and economically, and this is absolutely unjustifiable. It is not okay for people to be targeted for crimes they did not commit. I want to now invite Shruti Validi from the DSA Technology Action Organizing Committee.
Hi everyone, thank you. We are facing an unprecedented expansion of mass surveillance here in New York City today. Immigration enforcement is happening at record levels here. In 2025 alone, 58% of ICE arrests involved individuals with no criminal conviction or pending charges. Immigration enforcement today relies not only on government authority, but also on private technological systems, including facial recognition tools, biometric databases, and large-scale data sharing agreements between corporations, data brokers, and government. Earlier this year, Amazon proposed a partnership with Flock Safety, which operates a nationwide AI-enabled network of cameras and license plate readers, used primarily by police and law enforcement. This partnership would have linked Ring's entire network of private home cameras with Flock's surveillance database. Following public backlash, Amazon canceled this partnership. And that matters because it shows us two things. One, these surveillance expansions are actively being built, proposed, and deployed. And two, public pressure from the community can stop them. However, even without that specific partnership, the surveillance state remains intact. Biometric-enabled technologies are expanding both law enforcement and private business surveillance abuse. Companies like Flock continue to operate AI-powered databases used by the police. Amazon still has a partnership with Axon, providing body-worn cameras, drones, and license plate readers. Palantir and Clearview AI continue to build technologies used by ICE today. Biometric tracking technologies are often framed as innovative, efficient, more accurate, and supporting public safety. But this is far from the truth. In reality, these types of tools threaten civil liberties, pose immense privacy and security risks, have high error rates, and disproportionately criminalize marginalized and people of color here in New York City. Facial recognition and biometric tools are not neutral. They are biased and broken. New Yorkers should not be forced to accept biometric surveillance as part of their daily activities. As many of my partners here today have said, we should be able to go to the grocery store or go to a concert without fear of being tracked. And this is why we are in support of Councilwoman Hanif and Sanchez's bills today. These bills grant people the power to exercise their rights when it comes to biometric surveillance tracking and limits the sharing and selling of biometric data with third parties. We urge City Council to pass Bills 0428 and 0213. We echo STOP and our colleagues here today that while these bills are strong and a necessary first step, New York City should go further and ban the use of facial recognition technology by governments and law enforcement. Because without clear regulation here in New York, biometric data collection has no boundary. Information can be repurposed beyond its original intent, surveillance is becoming normalized, and privacy is normalized rather than protected. It is time to ban the scam.
Thank you. Thank you to STOP, Legal Aid, New York Civil Liberties Union, the Center on Race, Inequality, and the Law from New York University Law, and the DSA Action Organizing Committee, and of course my colleague, Councilmember Aviles, for being here today. I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody at the hearing at 10. Thank you.
Ban the scan! Ban the scan! Ban the scan! Ban the scan! Ban the scan!